I'm here with Al Alcorn of Atari fame. And Al, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
What brings you to the Classic Gaming Expo today?
Well, I came here to enjoy the fun and to meet some people who like the old games. It's really fun for me to reminisce about the old days and 30 years ago, 37 years ago. It's fun to talk about that, so meet people that like that stuff.
Well, for most of our viewers already know who you are, but for those who might not know, why don't you give us a little, explanation of what you did?
Oh, when Nolan started Atari, called CGE at the time, he offered me a job for $1,000 a month and some stock in this company to go do video games, which is a crazy idea, but I thought it'd be fun, and it would probably flop in a year or two because I didn't think it'd really hit, but it'd be fun, and to go back and work at Ampex when it failed. And didn't work out that way. The video games seem to have taken hold.
Now, you created the initial Pong arcade machine. You're also responsible for the Pong Home Edition.
Yeah.
There's a story going around when you went to Sears to sell this unit. You had a little problem showing off the demo unit. Why don't you tell our viewers that?
What we had was Sears, you understand, this is 1974, and Sears is a major retailer of American products, or a department store. And so this was kind of new for them. They weren't that familiar with electronic devices, but they were taking a risk with this thing, but they were very, very nervous about this. And so we finally had the prototype that used the real wire wrap emulator of the chips in the device, in a package, in a box, with the wooden model of what the plastics were going to look like. We didn't have the plastics yet, but that was the plan, to have them. And we didn't have a chip yet. We were going to have a chip. So it was all in this one box, and that box would work on channel 3 on a TV set, and you could play Pong. And so I was in the 37th floor of the Sears Tower with the exec staff and the head of the whole department doing this, and they were making a decision whether to go with this product or not. And I tried to get it working, and it wouldn't work for some reason, and there was interference. And I realized that they were broadcasting from channel 3 on top of the Sears Tower. So I had to retune it. So I opened the bottom of the box up, and they could see the wire wrap panel. It had 200 ICs in it, and all these red wires in there. And I got it retuned, got it working, put the bottom on, and did my demo, and it worked, and everybody was happy. And the VP of the group, Carl Lind, whose previous claim to fame was the air-conditioned electric blanket, asked me, he looks at me and he says, "Now, Mr. Alcorn, you're telling me that you're going to put all that rat's nest of wire in there on a little piece of silicone the size of your little finger?" I go, yeah. How are you going to solder the wires to it? Yeah, and there was no connection. I realized I'm dealing with, this is not Silicon Valley, where am I, Toto, on the 37th floor of this building? So we got past that hurdle, and in fact, we even took Carl to a semiconductor factory so we could show him how we soldered the wires to it, and he never picked it up. It was over the top.
Now, at what point did you realize that Atari just took off and was successful?
Well, there's two things I'll say. When real success, and it wasn't going to just fold and go away, really didn't come until Warner Communications bought us in '76, and I actually got paid, for equity. So that was a pretty good experience. But the first time I knew we really had a real impact, because I was so busy working, was when I made my first trip to Japan with Joe and Steve Bristow, and we got a day off. We went up to Hakone Lake, and this is back in the mid-'70s, and there weren't that many Westerners up in the country that time. And we were on a ferry boat on a lake in this beautiful exotic country, and on the ferry boat is a Pong machine running, and I'm going, oh my God, this is awful. I mean, in this beautiful country with the Japanese tradition and the culture, there's a Pong machine, beep, beep, I'm going, get me out of here, It was like, what have I done, I knew something was happening, yeah.
Do you play classic games anymore?
I honestly don't play games that much, because my pleasure is in creating the company and creating the engineering and creating the product. So with Atari, that's what I did. Even when CoinOp got working and it became not a challenge anymore, it became work, I gave it to Bristow to run, and I went off and see if I could put all that stuff on a custom chip, which had never been done before. It was the highest speed custom chip ever made at the time. And that was a challenge, that was fun. And once that got done, we went and did the VCS. That was also a challenge on itself. And after I finished with Atari, I went off and worked at several other companies, including Apple Computer and slot machine company called Silicon Gaming, and so trying to change things by applying technology. That's what I like to do. That's my fun, and putting engineering teams together that are very smart.
So after all these years, what are you doing today? Are you still with games, or?
No, I have a startup company called IMMI. Now it's a mature company, integrated media measurement, and we measure. We use a cell phone to measure what our panelists are listening to on radio and television. Report like Nielsen.
Okay. Well, it's very nice meeting you. Thank you so much for doing the interview.
Thank you.